The rain poured heavily that night. She stood at the hospital entrance, soaked, heart racing, clothes clinging to her skin. Inside, doctors rushed back and forth. Her husband, Tunde, had been in a terrible car accident. A trailer lost control and crushed the side of the car. She remembered the phone call. "Madam, your husband has been in an accident. Come quickly." When she saw him, she almost collapsed. His face was swollen, his legs wrapped in bandages. Machines beeped around him. A nurse gently pulled her aside. "He may never walk again," she whispered. "His spinal cord is damaged." Bisola didn't cry. She held Tunde's hand and whispered, "I'm here. I won't leave you." That night marked the beginning of a new life, a painful, unknown journey. She didn't know that her love would be tested beyond imagination. She didn't know that the man lying helpless on that bed would one day leave her after everything. But for now, she was his wife, his strength, his only hope. Tunde lay unconscious for 2 days. Bisola never left his sight. She slept in the hospital chair, held his hand, and prayed. When he finally opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was her face, tired, puffy, but full of love. The doctors confirmed the worst. "He's paralyzed from the waist down," one said. "He may never walk again." Tunde didn't speak for hours, just stared at the ceiling. Back home, their once lively house turned into a quiet, heavy place. She set up a special bed in their living room. She helped him with everything: bathing, feeding, even cleaning after him. One night, she knelt beside his bed. "Tunde," she whispered, "you're not alone. I made a vow. I will take care of you, no matter what." She had dreams too. A career, children, travel, but all that faded. Her new life was nursing him back to life, even when he no longer looked her in the eyes. Bisola's days were long, her nights were worse. Tunde was angry all the time. He shouted when food was late. He cried when he couldn't move his legs. He broke things when he felt helpless. Bisola never shouted back. She would breathe deeply and clean the mess. Every 2 hours at night, she woke up to turn him, to prevent bed sores. She lost weight. Her eyes always looked tired. She stopped seeing friends. She stopped smiling. One day, her sister came over. "Bisola, this is too much," she said. "You need help." But Bisola shook her head. "No one else will care for him like I do. He's my husband." She worked small jobs online at night, just to keep the bills paid. She sold her wedding jewelry to buy a wheelchair. Sometimes, she cried in the bathroom quietly, so he wouldn't hear. Love, she thought, meant staying even when it hurt. Tunde changed. He wasn't the man. He grew cold. He refused to talk. Sometimes he refused to eat. One evening, she tried to cheer him up. She made his favorite jollof rice and dressed nicely, like she used to. But he didn't look at her. He muttered, "You think wearing makeup will make this better?" Her heart broke a little more. Sometimes, she'd catch him staring at old pictures of himself standing tall, handsome in a suit. He would sigh and turn away when he noticed her. He hated depending on her. But instead of thanking her, he blamed her. "You should go," he said one day. "Find someone with legs. I'm useless." Bisola knelt before him and said, "Don't say that. You're my husband. We'll get through this." But deep down, she was scared. Not of losing him to death, but of losing him to bitterness. At first, people came to visit. Tunde's old friends brought food, joked with him, promised to come back. But after a few months, they stopped showing up. "Men don't like sadness," Tunde said bitterly. "They're gone because I'm broken." Bisola tried to keep his spirits up. She encouraged him to join an online group for people with spinal injuries. He refused. Even her own family started calling less. Everything became just the two of them. Sometimes, she wished someone would knock on the door and offer her help, even for a day, but no one came. She stopped going to church. She didn't have the strength to get dressed, and Tunde didn't want to be seen in a wheelchair. She was becoming invisible. Still, every morning, Bisola woke up, cleaned him, fed him, and whispered, "We're going to be okay." She didn't know her heart would be the one that wouldn't recover. Months passed. Bisola could barely remember the last time she stepped outside for fresh air. Her world had shrunk to the four walls of their home and to Tunde's needs. Every morning, she bathed him, fed him, dressed him. Then she'd clean the house, do laundry, and check if Tunde needed anything else. He didn't say thank you, not even once. Her phone rarely rang anymore. She had stopped posting online. She had nothing exciting to share. One afternoon, she looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. Her skin was dull. Her hair had grown wild. Her eyes looked tired. But when she walked into the living room, she put on a smile. Tunde looked up and said, "What took you so long?" She didn't answer. She simply placed the food beside him and walked away, quietly wiping a tear before it could fall. Then came a small miracle. Tunde began to feel something in his toes. At first, it was just a tingle, but then he moved his foot just slightly. The doctors were shocked. "It's slow, but it's progress," they said. Bisola was overjoyed. She cried in the hospital corridor, praising God. She threw herself into his therapy. She helped him with leg exercises. She massaged his muscles. She cheered for every small movement. "Look at you," she smiled one day. "Soon you'll be running again." But Tunde didn't smile back. He just stared at the television. Still, she didn't stop. She watched videos, read articles, joined forums, anything to help his healing. Her hands grew rough from lifting him. Her back ached from helping him stand. But her heart was hopeful. She believed that when he walked again, he would see her love and love her back. She had no idea what was coming. Tunde started laughing again, not with her, but on the phone, with someone. She would walk into the room, and he would quickly hide his phone. Sometimes he would dress better, shave more often. Bisola noticed, but she didn't say anything. She thought maybe he was trying to feel normal again. One evening, she peeked into the room and heard a woman's voice on video call. Tunde noticed her. "Privacy, please," he said coldly. She froze. He had never spoken to her that way. Later that night, he said, "You should start thinking about your own life. You're wasting it on me." Her throat tightened. "You're my life," she whispered. He didn't reply. That night, while folding his clothes, she found a small box in his drawer. A silver ring. New. But it wasn't for her. Bisola's body started giving up. She had back pain from carrying him for years. Her hands shook sometimes when she tried to cook. She would wake up with headaches that made her eyes tear up. Still, she pushed through. She took painkillers and kept going. Tunde didn't ask how she felt. He never noticed when she limped. He only called her when he needed something. One day, she fainted in the kitchen. When she woke up, she was on the floor and the stew was burning on the stove. Tunde had called neighbors. "You should rest," they said. But Tunde looked annoyed. "She does this all the time," he muttered. That night, Bisola cried silently into her pillow. Her body was breaking, and so was her heart. She had given everything, her health, her dreams, her beauty, all for love. But love, it seemed, wasn't enough. 6 years later, the impossible happened. Tunde took his first real step. It was shaky, slow, but he walked. Bisola screamed with joy and hugged him tight. "You did it!" she cried. The doctors clapped. Nurses smiled. She thought it was the beginning of their fresh start. He walked from the room to the car, slowly but proudly. At home, she cooked a big meal to celebrate. She wore a dress she hadn't touched in years. She even lit candles. But Tunde didn't eat much. He seemed distant. That night, he said, "Thank you for everything." Bisola's heart leapt. Then he added, "But I think it's time we talked about moving on." She blinked. "Moving on? I want to be free. I want a new life." Her knees went weak. He had walked back into the world and left her behind. The next morning, Bisola prepared breakfast in silence. Tunde came into the kitchen walking, without support. She turned, expecting a smile, a hug, something. Instead, he said, "I'm moving out soon." Her hands dropped the plate. "I need space," he added. "I want to breathe. Leave." Bisola sat down, trembling. "I gave you 6 years. I gave you my body, my dreams, everything. He nodded. I know. I'm grateful. But people change. Grateful? That word stung more than a slap. He packed a small bag later that week. She asked, is there someone else? He didn't answer. As the gate closed behind him, Bisola collapsed on the floor. She wasn't just losing a husband. She was losing 6 years of her life. And all he gave her in return was a thank you. The house felt empty. The wheelchair still sat in the corner. His clothes still hung in the wardrobe. But Tunde was gone. Days passed. Then, weeks. No calls, no texts. Bisola sat in the living room most nights, just staring. Sometimes, she replayed old videos of them before the accident, before bitterness, before betrayal. One day, she tried to call him. He picked up but said only 2 words. Don't call. Then the line went dead. The pain was unbearable. But the silence was worse. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Her body felt numb, her chest heavy. One evening, she walked outside barefoot and sat on the pavement in her nightgown. A neighbor rushed over. Bisola, you okay? She looked up and said, I don't know who I am anymore. 6 years of her life, erased, forgotten, just like that. It didn't take long. Tunde's wedding pictures appeared online. Just 1 week after the divorce papers arrived. He was smiling beside a light-skinned woman in a white gown. Bisola stared at the screen, heart pounding. People were commenting, isn't that the guy who was in a wheelchair? What happened to the wife who took care of him? She didn't defend herself. But inside, something shattered. He had been planning this. The secret calls, the hidden ring, the late-night chats. She had cooked for him, carried him, wiped his tears, and now he was smiling in another woman's arms. Her friends called angry. You need to speak out. But Bisola whispered, let God fight for me. And that night, for the first time in a long time, she slept peacefully. Not because the pain was gone, but because she had finally let it go. The papers arrived quietly. A brown envelope. No note, no explanation. Bisola opened it slowly. Every word felt like a knife. Irreconcilable differences. That's all it said. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She signed. The lawyer looked surprised. No objections? She shook her head. I've already lost him. What's left to fight for? She handed over the papers and walked out into the bright Lagos Sunday. She breathed deeply. For once, there was no wheelchair to push, no anger to avoid, no medicine to remember. Just her, and a silence that didn't feel as heavy anymore. She stopped by a small bakery, bought a loaf of bread and sat by the roadside. And there, under the shade of a mango tree, she whispered to herself, I survived. Tunde was trending. He had started a YouTube channel with his new wife, talking about miracles and second chances. People clapped. Wow, what a journey. But only a few remembered the woman who helped him get there. Bisola didn't watch the videos. She didn't need to. She had scars that spoke louder than any story online. She started volunteering at a hospital, helping stroke patients, feeding the elderly, comforting those in pain. One nurse asked, why do you do this? She smiled softly. Because I know what it feels like to be forgotten. One day, as she walked past the television in the hospital lobby, she saw Tunde's face. She paused for a second, then kept walking. She wasn't bitter anymore. She had healed. And sometimes, healing is the loudest revenge of all. Bisola sat in her family home for the first time in years. Her mother didn't hug her. Her brothers barely looked at her. Only her younger sister, Ronki, offered a sad smile. 6 years, her mother finally said. 6 years you wasted on a man who spit in your face. I thought I was doing the right thing, Bisola replied softly. Her mother's voice cracked. We begged you to leave, but you said marriage was for better or worse, and now he's dancing with another woman while you sit here with nothing. Bisola's eyes filled with tears, not from guilt, but grief. She had lost so much, and now even her family support felt broken. Weeks later, while volunteering at the hospital, she met someone Kelechi, a gentleman who brought his mother for therapy. He noticed her kindness, her patience. "You're strong," he told her one day. "Not many people can love the way you do." Bisola smiled, but fear sat in her heart. Love had burned her before. Kelechi waited. He didn't rush. He just showed up again and again. He sent her notes, brought her books, helped her laugh again. Still, one night, Bisola asked, "What if you leave me too?" He took her hand and said, "Then I'd be the biggest fool alive." For the first time in a long time, she believed it. Not all love ends in betrayal. Some love comes after the storm. Kelechi didn't try to save her. He simply listened. He would wait in the hospital garden with 2 cups of tea, one for her, one for himself. Isola would sit beside him, saying little, yet feeling seen. One day, he brought a book titled Wounded but Worthy. She smiled. "That title suits me." As weeks passed, Kelechi began showing up at her home, not with flowers or flattery, but with groceries, with patience, with kindness. But fear still lived there. "I'm not whole," she told him one evening. "I've lost too much." He looked at her, eyes calm. "Then let me help you find the pieces." Her eyes welled with tears. This love felt real, but could she trust it? Bisola's family began to notice the change. Her cheeks had color again. Her laughter came back soft, uncertain, but real. One Sunday after church, her mother pulled her aside. "I judged you too harshly," she said. "I was angry, not because you loved him, but because he never deserved it." Bisola didn't reply. Her mother hugged her for the first time in years. "You deserve joy too," she whispered. "Don't let fear block it." Her brother apologized too. "We should have supported you. You loved him better than he ever loved you." It felt like healing a wound, slowly stitching itself together. But Bisola still had one more wall to climb. Could she truly open her heart to Kelechi? On her birthday, Kelechi invited her to a small garden. There was no music, no big crowd, just fairy lights, soft breeze, and peace. He held a box, but not like the one she once found in Tunde's drawer. This one was offered with both hands and with truth. "I know you've been broken," he said, "but I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to build with you." Bisola's hands trembled. "I'm scared." "I am too," he smiled. "But maybe that's what love really is, two people choosing to try anyway." Tears filled her eyes, this time not from pain or from hope. She nodded. Yes. The wedding was small, simple, but full of heart. As Bisola walked down the aisle in her white gown, many guests whispered, "She deserves this. She truly does." Sunday saw her wedding photos online. He didn't like or comment. He just stared. His new marriage was full of show, but empty of soul. Bisola didn't care. She was no longer a shadow of her past. She was a woman who gave everything and still rose again. She had learned that love isn't proved in suffering, it's proved in peace. She looked at Kelechi and smiled. This wasn't revenge. It was redemption. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories about love, family, and life lessons. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.